just don't know what to do anymore. I've tried hope, I've tried change, but it seems my approval rating just keeps getting lower and lower. I need to do something big to get the American people back on my side. Something unprecedented.
You could always find a way to kill Castro. That's certainly something unprecedented, sir.
Of course! Why didn't I think of it sooner?
That was a joke, sir.
No, it's perfect. Clinton, Reagan, Carter, and Kennedy never could take him down, so I will succeed where they failed. Who could I possibly consult about this, though?
Clinton, Reagan, Carter, and Kennedy, sir?
Excellent! Bring them in.
All of those men are either dead or no longer care, sir.
Darn. I guess I'll just have to think of something else. All this work sure is exhausting. Huh? Bill? What are you doing here?
Hello, Mr. President. Your aide said you might need some help with a certain Cuban problem.
You could say that.
You know, back in my day, I really had my reasons to get him. That SOB Castro shot down a private U.S. plane that was allegedly dropping propaganda leaflets. Some said it was this group called La Red Avispa, but I know Castro okayed it. 4 men died and the people were outraged, especially down there in Florida.
I didn't know that, Bill. Wow.
Then that whole Elian Gonzalez debacle blew up in my face. Man, that was just the end of the line. I wanted to get him so bad, but the American people are always watching, Barack. You know that. I couldn't openly do anything.
So, what did you do?
You gotta make sure nobody can trace it back to the government, you understand? I had the CIA working with Cuban exiles, especially a really determined guy named Jose Posada. Castro was scheduled to visit Panama, and Posada's group tried to kill him there. They were going to blow up a bomb underneath the podium while Castro was giving a speech, but his security detail exposed the one small flaw in the plan.
Which was?
They checked the podium for explosives and found it.
Man, those clever Cubans. With such a smart opponent, how am I ever going to become a famous president?
Wait, you want to be famous? Barack, if you just want to be remembered, why don't you just have an affair? Oh, I told Jimmy Carter you were looking for him. He should be here shortly.
Hey, Barack. Bill told me all about your idea, and I'm totally on board.
Wait a second, Jimmy. Weren't you always making speeches about establishing peaceful relations with Cuba? Why do you want to see Castro dead?
To tell the truth, Barack, I needed what you now need, a boost in public opinion ratings. When Soviet Russia seemed to be at its peak, I froze up. I needed to stop the spread of communism somehow, so I looked to Cuba.
I'm trying to see what other presidents did. What were your methods?
Alright, so picture this. I invited Castro to come to the U.S. and planned to kill him while he was en route to a meeting at the UN. A CIA explosive expert hid a bomb inside of a softball, and we recruited one of Fidel's oldest enemies to throw it at his motorcade.
Obviously it failed, though. How could such a flawless plan backfire?
Well, the plot was foiled because we ended up trusting too many people. A leak was bound to happen, it seems, and Castro got wise. Remember that, Barack. If you want to succeed where we failed, you have to hold your cards close to your chest.
I'll remember that. Thanks, Jimmy.
You're welcome, Mr. President. Looking back on it, it could have been a lot worse. Imagine if he took some of my guys hostage. It'd take another Ronald Reagan to bail them out.
Listen, Obama, I don't have a lot of time on this plane of existence, so I'll make this brief. I got elected because I wasn't going to take a wussy stance on communism like Carter did. However, if I was to focus all my attention on Cuba, I'd be missing the big picture. I had to cut off the head of the snake, Russia.
So, you never went against Castro?
What? Of course I did. I thought up the Cuban American National Foundation, after all.
The anti-Castro group founded by exiles?
Bingo! Imagine an organization of ex-Cuban nationals gathered together and backed by multiple presidential administrations. Turn that kind of anger and funding against Castro, and it seemed only a matter of time before the big payoff. Let me give you a piece of advice, Barack. If you want results, make sure the people who you're working with are motivated.
But it didn't work, Ronnie. All we ended up with was a living Fidel, dead innocent Cubans, and United States-sponsored terrorism.
I will admit, Mr. President, I probably should have ran better background checks. Hey, stay put. Kennedy said he wants to talk to you.
Hey there, Obama. I like what you've done with the place. Well, JFK, do you have some advice for me too? You betcha, Barack. Now listen, the whole Castro turning commie thing was really unfortunate, but I had to take a hard line somewhere. Eisenhower gave me a lot of notes, and after the embarrassment of the Bay of Pigs invasion, I needed a way to salvage some respect. I understand. So what did you try? Well, after the Bay of Pigs invasion, I looked into more covert and surgical operations, things that could never be tracked back to my administration. Ever. Like what? I didn't exactly have the most creative staff. Imagine she-shell bombs that didn't go off, and poison pills that weren't poisonous. The whole thing was a headache. There was even a time during Operation Mongoose where I had the whole naval battle fleet ready to bombard the island. In the end, I just couldn't do it. What made you change your mind? The admirals all got together and told me, ask not what the Navy can do for you, but what you can do for our paychecks. If all those brilliant attempts failed, what hope do I have? Huh? It was all a dream? It was so vivid. At least I learned a lot about the motives of past presidents to kill Castro.
Sir, I've been thinking about the plot to kill Castro.
And?
Why don't you just wait a few years? He's already quite old.
Oh. Right. Haha! That was easier than I thought!
Stay put. Kennedy said he wants to talk to you.